Hello, today we are going to talk about how to use Visual Studio Code in order to program for the KDE community. So what is Visual Studio Code? Let's start with a Wikipedia article. Visual Studio Code, VS Code or Code, is a text editor for source code made by Microsoft, cross-platform, TypeScript, written in TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Proprietary software. Released under the most of the source code is released under the MIT license and available on GitHub. Okay, so based on Electron technology, Node.js, Monaco, Microsoft Monaco, Blink layout engine, Chromium, Chrome, Google V8, JavaScript engine. Okay, so somehow similar to the Atom text editor. Okay, and probably the most important thing that it has are the add-ins, Visual Studio Code Marketplace. Okay, so let's go to the KDE website. We have the Get Involved web page. We go to Development. So in here we are told how to set up kdesrc-build in order to build KDE communities Git repositories in the correct order. We have set this up already. And then we can configure an IDE. Where are you? Instructions for setting up an IDE. Okay, and the instructions for Visual Studio Code. And let's try to follow them. So first of all, we need to install Visual Studio Code. So this is my hardware machine. It's running Ubuntu 22.04. I need to install Visual Studio Code. So for that, my options are insiders or stable. I'm going with stable. And for Linux, I have deb, rpm, and probably some other things. So I'm downloading the deb. Save. And then I'm running the deb file. Okay, so for that I need to be super user. So sudo su asks for the password. This is the Dolphin file manager, which is the default file manager from the KDE Plasma desktop. This is the embedded terminal. You can hide it with F4 or show it. Or you can go with show menu bar with all actions and go, where is it? Tools, open terminal. No, not that. View. I don't know where the shortcut for opening the built-in terminal is in the Dolphin main menu. So this guy, view, show panels, terminal F4. So I'm super user. And now I can install this deb. So I'm going with the package -e to install. So minus install or -i and then the deb file name. Okay. -install and then code. Okay. Okay, and it says 354,000 files and directories were installed. What is it? No. So it says that the already installed version is 1.69.2, if I'm reading correctly. And I've just downloaded the version 1.70.1 and I've installed it. So this is in fact an upgrade. Okay, then it runs post install scripts. And where is it? So it's in usr/bin/code. And that thing is in fact a symlink to usr/share/code/bin/code. I don't know exactly where it's installed. Not in /opt. Not in usr local bin. Not in usr local. So maybe it installs in here in usr share code. Okay. So it's in the path because it has a symlink in /usr/bin/code. Okay, so the only way to start it from the command line is by using the string code, so code. Okay. Now that we have Visual Studio Code installed, let's build kcalc, which is kdesrc-build kcalc. 79 modules to build. Most of them are, so it starts with sysadmin repo metadata, then ECM, extra CMake modules, and then a ton of Git repos from the frameworks module set. Okay. So I've already followed the steps in the wiki page where it says how to configure Visual Studio Code. Powerful extensions system. Ecosystem. Okay, so I've installed the Visual Studio Code as a deb. And now I need to install extensions. So let's do that. Ctrl-Shift-T. Code. So I need C++ extension pack Control C, close all. File close directories, like this. So this is the extensions, Control Shift X. I'm going to search either by title or the name of the extension, so C++ extension pack, or by the name of the extension, which in this case it's CPP tools -extension -pack. Where do I see that name? Okay, but this is it. Okay, C++ extension pack. I've installed it, so if it's not installed, you have the button to install, otherwise disable and uninstall. Then Qt tools. So Qt tools, it says Tonka 3000.qtvsc-tools. And I can see that it's the only one from Tonka 3000, which is the name Qt tools. Doesn't it search for just this text? Yeah, like this, okay? So it's installed, QML. And it says bbenoist.qml. So Baptiste Benoist, this guy. Okay, it's installed. If you want C++ standard library help and also Qt help, you have the combination zeal plus dash. So zeal, an offline documentation browser for software developers, and it has 208 doc sets, and there's one for C++, this guy, one for C, and there's one for Qt 5 in our case. Okay, you can do that. I did not do it at this time. So it says configuration. Visual Studio Code holds settings related to specific projects in the top level project directory in a hidden .vs Code folder. We will use Dolphin as an example of where to add our project configuration file. So we're not using Dolphin, we're using kcalc. So kcalc being this thing. Kcalc, the calculator. Okay, let's close all pages and exit from the extensions view. Let's see if kcalc finished building. So it says it finished building successfully. And now we are told that there's a .vs code directory. So in fact, this directory is not about a Git repo, so you don't need to put it necessarily in the top level directory of Git repo, so in the Git working directory, but you can put it in the directory that you open with Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code, you usually use it to open directories, so folder. Okay, let's open a folder. So kdesrc, utilities, and kcalc. Okay, this is the directory. Like this, open. So it says the kcalc directory is open. And let's delete the directory that I just created, which is the .vscode directory. Delete. Okay, so I don't know how to create directories in the top level. So I'm selecting another file from the top level directory, which is the .clang-format, for instance. And then I go create new directory. The name is .vscode. So .vscode. Okay. And then it says we'll need to create 2 files per directory opened with Visual Studio Code. The first one is called settings.json. Copy. Okay. We should have the content like this, Control V, and then a trailing new line, Control S. So what does it say? It says Dolphin, we're building kcalc, and it says build Dolphin, which is a directory which we don't have because we don't use kdesrc-build flat layout, but invent layout, which means between build and the Git repo, there's another directory. So in our case, it's utilities. Let's go there. So this is how the src directory looks like. So it's tilde /kd /src /utility /kcalc. And the build directory is identical. kd build utilities kcalc, kd src utilities kcalc. So what difference is the src versus build. The rest is the same. So in order to navigate from this directory to this directory, I need to go one directory up. I'm in utilities. One directory up, I'm in src. And then one directory up. So I need, this should be 3. And then build utilities kcalc. Let's copy this thing. Control V, Control S. So 1, 2, 3 directories up. Then utilities and build utilities and kcalc. Like this. Okay, Control S. So we did this file. Next, a ccpp properties.json. Control C. Right click, new file, paste, enter. So it says in the Git, in the directory where we git cloned, which is this guy. Okay, Control C, Control V, new line, Control S. So it gives a random name to the configuration, which is called Linux. It says it should include all of the files that are open in the Visual Studio Code directory, so kcalc, which is in fact the directory tilde /kd /src /utility /kcalc. Okay. Then it says it should use the GCC from my Kubuntu 2204 the packages, standard C++ 17, some KD Git repos use C++ 11. I know at least one that uses C++ 14, and then the others use C++ 17. So yeah, let's go with C++ 17. We can't change this. We just created this file, so it's workspace folder, compile commands. This file is created by kdesrc-build because we did this thing. So in this file, was this file. Okay, let's open that file. So kate /.config kdesrc-build. So the name of the file is wrong. I should edit this wiki page. Okay. So this says that compile commands linking should be true. Compile commands export should be true, which are by default. I kept them with the default values. I changed this directory layout to be invent, stop on failure false, and I increased the number of CPU cores and the CMake build type debug. And I've built Qt using kdesrc-build in the same directory. I made install Qt in the same directory where I make install the rest of the kd git repos, so in /kd/usr. Okay. So we did this thing, which is what it refers to. So it says that when kdesrc-build runs in the git in the workspace folder, there should be a compile commands.json file, which there is. And looks like this. So for each translation unit, for each CPP file, like mox compilation.cpp, there's a JSON object. kcalc.cpp, bitbutton.cpp. So for all translation units, C++ translation units, kcalc bitset, etc. Okay, so let's see what should we change in here. So workspace folder is okay. The C++ compiler GC is okay. These things are okay. I don't have anything to change in this file, so Ctrl S. Okay, next. It says while these two files above, so ccpp properties.json and settings.json, you need to create them in the hidden.vs code directory for all directories that you open with Visual Studio Code. So that basically means for each kd git repo. There are some settings which are made for not per directory open with Visual Studio Code, but per Visual Studio Code. So for that, we do editing settings.json. So we go Ctrl-Shift-P. So before we actually edit the settings.json file, we need to make an important step, which is to make sure we don't have a file that really doesn't let us work with Visual Studio Code. So that file is the CMakePresets.json file. So if I see in the top level directory of a git repo this file CMakePresets.json, that's going to contain a ton of build configurations, in this case dev, disable, deprecate, JSON, etc. And it's totally not made for kdesrc-build. It uses a build subdirectory, which is a no-no. It uses Ninja instead of Unix make files. It tries to use the KDE frameworks libraries from /usr, not from ~kd/usr. So all of these configurations will just make our lives complicated. So the first thing I do is I delete this file CMakePresets.json. kdesrc-build.json. Okay, with that out of our way, now we can actually configure the settings that are per user, not per project or per Visual Studio workspace. Good. Okay, and the settings that we want are these 5. So let's do them one by one. File, preferences, settings. We need to hide this thing, the files 3. So it says user, so not workspace, but user, extensions, CMake tools, and then we see what can we configure based on this list with 5 items. So CMake build directory. Here it is, CMake build directory. So it's workspace folder, which means tilde/kd/src/utilities/kcalc. We go 3 directories up, then build utilities kcalc. So this is done. Then we go to CMake build, where are you? Not CMake build environment, CMake environment. Not CMake configure environment, not CMake build environment, but CMake environment, which is another thing. Okay, and it's in here. So we go CMake environment, this thing. So we go add item, we paste, I think, a name, and then we paste a value. Control V, like that, and then we go OK. Okay, so in the end, this list should look like this. So these two are the same. Okay, next, CMake generator Unix makefiles. So this is not a comma box, so you need to write these text exactly like this with uppercase U and uppercase M. Okay. What else? Install prefix, which means we're making install output files, so that's the same for all of the modules built with kdesrc-build, which is tilde/kd/usr. And then source directory, it's workspace folder. Once we've set all 5 settings, now it's time to look at the settings.json file and make sure it's really looking like we want it. So it says editor word wrap, that's my personal setting, doesn't have anything to do with this list. But then CMake.build directory, yes. Workspace folder, 3 directories up, build utilities kcalc, yes. CMake.environment, path is at the end. Let's put it back at the top. Control X to delete an empty line. So path, LD library path, xdg data dirs, xdg config dirs, qt plugin path, qml to import path, qt quick control style path. CMake generator Unix makefiles, CMake install prefix tilde/kd/usr, CMake preferred generate, where are you? CMake source directory. So this is probably the default since it's not in here. Okay, file save. So now we also have the settings inside settings.json. Inside of kdesrc-build we have the instructions for kdesrc-build to actually create the file compile commands.json. This is needed for LSP, language server protocol, which is probably CLangD or something. Okay, let's look at this file. So kt-/.config/kdsrc-buildrc. So we make install into the same directory this guy. Build type debug, course, stop on failure force, directory layout in event, and then to generate the compile commands.json file. Okay. So we have these. What else do we need to configure? Let's close the pages. And then we can actually start working on the project. But for that, I'm going to close Visual Studio and open it again. So after I do settings, I open it again in order to start with the correct build, CMake build configuration, which is nothing. Okay, so for that we go code dot. So kcalc is opened as a directory. CMake tools doesn't complain that there's no CMake file for this project, but it says, would you like to configure? I can go yes. Or I can go build. Let's look at what it does. So CMake, correct. Export compile commands, true, correct. Build type, debug, correct. Install prefix, /kd/usr, correct. Source directory, src utilities kcal, correct. Build directory, build utilities kcal, correct. Unix make files, correct. The configure step is successful. I'm going to ignore this. Click to select the current build variant. I'm going to ignore this, no active kit. I'm going to select the default build target, which for me needs to be kcalc, or could be key number test. So let's go with kcalc. Okay. Then let's see how it works without the debugger first. So let's open the entry point, which is kcalc.cpp. I go at the end of the file, and that's where the entry point is, the function main. I can put breakpoints. I control click on Q application. So what it says class Q application. Control click on it to navigate. So it navigates to the correct place, which is tilde/kd/usr, so not /usr/include. So it finds the correct H file from Qt, but it doesn't find the correct CPP file from Qt. I can't go right click, where are you? This guy. Right click, go to declaration, right click, go to definition. right click, go to type definition. So I can see the implementation of methods because it just will not navigate to CPP files. It navigates just to H files. Okay. But that's something, right? It knows how to navigate to H files, which probably means it knows how to autocomplete names of methods in H files. So we have autocompletion for signatures of types and identifiers which are available in H files in ~kd/usr/include. Okay. If I click on the method, control click on the method, migrate, it should navigate to the CPP file where migrate is defined, but cannot do such a thing. Where the constructor of kdlibs config migrator is implemented. Okay, so again it navigates just to ~kd/usr/include, but that means it has doc strings. It says that it's deprecated. It has autocompletion, so basically just one feature is missing, that is navigate to the implementation of a method. Like if I control click on migrate, it just wouldn't take me to the CPP file. Okay. So syntax highlighting, autocompletion, doc strings. Navigate to header files. Okay. Then if we start, so this button, play button in the status bar, launch the selected target in the terminal window kcalc. As the executable starts, let's make sure it's the correct executable. ls off, grep kcalc, grep kf5. Yes. Okay, so the kf5 libraries, so files, are taken from the correct directory, which is tilde/kd/usr/lib. So that tells me that the executable was built correctly. And I'm going to be able to debug because I have all of these so files built using CMake build configuration debug. So GDB, the debugger, will know where each symbol, in which CPP file each symbol is defined. Okay. So let's start the debugger, which is this button with a bug, the lead debug. Launch the debugger for the selected target kcalc. Click on it. Let's see how it loads the correct SO files. So I built Qt using kdesrc, so it finds that from tilde/kd/usr/lib, kf5 from the correct place, kf5 archive, libkf5 auth core codecs item views, so everything looks correct. Okay, so the debugger shortcuts are continue F5, step over F10, step into F11, and step out shift F11. So let's go F10, F11. So it steps into the correct place, which is qapplication.cpp. So in the CPP file where this constructor is defined. Let's get out. So almost nobody has Qt compiled using kdesrc-build. So let's not stay there too much. So this is Qt, and this is a kd git repo, klocalized string. Let's go F11. It takes us to the CPP file from the KDE5 framework, k-internationalization. So tilde/kd/src/framework/k-internationalization/i18n/klocalized string.cpp. So inside of a CPP file, which is really important. This way we can learn the source code, which is behind the methods and functions and constructors, etc. And we can inspect the values that we have for local variables and for parameters and for object members, etc. So kcalc. There's correct visualizations for domain, which is a const chart pointer, and for qstring. Okay, so we're inside the constructor for kdlibs for config migrator. It receives a parameter which is of type qstring. And we can see that it's correctly visualized as kcalc, even though it's a const qstring reference. So the debugger, everything works correctly, apart from this fact that some source code is grayed out as it's shown as being if defed out, because Visual Studio Code doesn't really know the value of some macros. But that's two minor nags, right? So one, that it shows grayed out pieces of code that are have actually been compiled, and GDB, the debugger, steps into those. And then that outside of the debugger, or even inside of the debugger, control-click on to navigate on methods navigates just to H files, not to CPP files. So the only way to navigate to CPP files is to be inside of the debugger and go F11 step into. So inside the method migrate, in the side of a CPP file from a totally different KD Git repo, from inside of kcore add-ons, which is a KDE5 framework. Okay, so that was the procedure to make Visual Studio Code be as aware as possible of KD Git repos which are built using kdesrc-build. So we follow the wiki page and we have set these settings in the users config JSON file. Maybe there's a way to simplify things, like, for instance, not define the inside of the user settings this thing where is the build directory, and maybe there's a way for Visual Studio Code to be configured such that it ignores that file that's giving us so much headache, which is the file CMakePresets.json. So this was it. Thank you.